Hello, medieval history students. Happy Monday. So we are still working on Islam and interconnectedness. And as you can see, we're getting closer to the end here. You should have finished up these two last week on early Islamic trade, Cairo as a trade city. Now you're going to do my weekly lesson is on Muslims today and stereotypes, and then answering the compelling question. So we talked all about Muslim and the history of Muslims, and the history of Islam. So now I wanted to bring it to today, okay, with my lesson. And then this week you're getting ready to answer the question, you're getting ready really for this inquiry argument, one of the final products. So in Summit, you're going to answer using evidence from checkpoints 1 through 3, so these early checkpoints, and they're talking about the Summit ones, but you can use my lessons as well. You're going to answer the main question here. Your paragraph incorporates an argumentative claim that answers the compelling question. Make sure your claim is supported by evidence from the different document sets you've used, and then you explain how it supports your claim. So this is the question you're answering. How did the Muslim empires and institutions help different regions of Afro-Eurasia become more interconnected? And that's what this whole project is about. So everything you learned about Muslims with their trade and their religious tolerance and all of that, their institutions, how did that help bring people together of all these different areas in Afro-Eurasia? Okay, so that's what you're doing. Make sure you include your evidence and then explain your evidence to prove your case, your claim. All right, now let's look at my lesson. So I want you to take a look here at this political cartoon. Just kind of look, I'll blow it up a little bit. Analyze everything you see here. That's what you do anytime you're going to analyze a picture or a cartoon. You want to make sure you don't miss any details. So you see a man here with a turban there, so he looks like he's probably a Muslim, right, or an Arab, and he's standing on skulls that says Hindus, Christians, pagans, Jews, atheists. He's holding a bloody knife with blood all over him. It says, Islam is religion of peace. See, no one talks back. Okay, so we're talking about stereotypes here with this. What do you think this cartoonist is trying to say here? So before you answer that, what even is a stereotype? Do you know? Stereotypes are beliefs about an entire group that may be based on information about an individual or a small number of people within that group. But stereotyping is not a good thing because you may believe something about, you take something you learned about one person and you say that that's how the whole group is then. All right, so it leads to, discrimination against a particular group if you believe these stereotypes. So what stereotype does this political cartoon perpetuate about Muslims? So what is the cartoonist trying to say here about Muslims? That's a stereotype of them. Do you think he's trying to say that Muslims are violent? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Look, he's holding a bloody knife saying that all those people he killed there. Right? And so saying Islam is a religion of peace. See, no one talks back. They didn't talk back because he killed them. And this is a stereotype, and this is why I thought it was important to do this lesson today, because you have all, you were born after the 9/11 attacks. And there's something I want you to know, that many people, when you think of Islam, think, oh, that's a violent religion. They're terrorists, or they were responsible for 9/11. But what you need to know is that's just a stereotype. And the people that are in these terrorist groups and the ones that, committed that unspeakable tragedy on 9/11, that is just a particular, small group inside the Islamic religion. They're just extremists. That's not what Islam is about. Islam is actually a peaceful religion. And so, just like how you have Christians, there's different sects of Christianity. There's Catholics, there's Protestants, and then in the Protestants, there's different groups. And then, you have those even extremist, Christian groups So if some Christians formed a group and started terrorizing people, would then you think all Christians are bad, all Christians are evil, they're violent? So think of it that way. So that's why I thought it was important to do this lesson today, so you learn the truth about Muslims today and the stereotypes and myths surrounding them. So what I want you to do, and if you were with me right now live in this lesson, I would say, okay, I want you to take some time, break up now, and I want you to read this, Debunking Misconceptions About Muslims and Islam, to learn about the misconceptions and stereotypes many have today about Muslims. So, and this is very short here, but this is really good. It talks about what stereotypes are, which we talked about, and people use stereotypes to make snap judgment about others without looking at them as individuals. Stereotyping is almost always negative. It is always harmful because it makes unsubstantiated generalizations and ignores the humanity of the people being stereotyped. And stereotypes about Muslims range from insults about terrorism to misunderstandings about the meaning of Allah, which is their God. Here are 4 common stereotypes about Islam, and then each gives an explanation. So just read these 4 different stereotypes, 4 common stereotypes about them, and read the truth about them. And then I want you to watch. This is a really good little opinion video I found from the New York Times. It's like an editorial. It's called The Secret History of Muslims in the United States. And I really like this one because it talks about their contribution to America, things I had never known that you take for granted, like that Muslims were involved with, and also some famous Muslims. Okay, so watch that. Then here I just have some flashcards on some important terms regarding, the Islamic faith and Muslims today. And then I want you to, after you learned about it here in the Explore section, that's important, the Explore, explain, how would you describe the interconnectedness today between Islamic countries and the rest of the world? So again, remember, interconnectedness, bringing people together. So how would you describe it today? Do you think it's really different from what we studied in the past? All right, test what you have learned about the stereotypes of Islam by taking this brief true-false quiz. Now, I want to go over this elaborate with you because I'm not asking you to do a checkpoint as my elaborate. This is separate, so you have to complete this. Find a current events article about mainstream Muslims today. By mainstream, I mean not the radical Islamic extremists. We're not talking about them. And summarize the article in at least a paragraph. After your summary, explain how the article dispels the stereotypes many have of Muslims. You must provide the title of the article and the link. Okay, so you're just finding, we're just learning about Muslims today. And so you're just going to find an article on that and just summarize it in a paragraph or so to just tell what it was about. And then just remember to put that line in or two about how it that means gets rid of the stereotypes many have of Muslims. Okay? And then just finish off with the self-assessment. You select one of these and then you answer the question. Okay? So that's what I have for you this week. And then in addition to this, you have your summit checkpoint where you're going to answer this question based on everything you've learned in these prior checkpoints. Now you finally are going to show what you learned here by answering this question. Be sure to include evidence. So pick quotes. You could do direct quotes, but you have to put quotations around it and then put in parentheses afterwards the author or the document number that you got it from so I can locate it. But then you can't just leave it at that. You have to put it in your own words and provide the quote. You have to explain the quote. So how does this quote you're giving me help to prove your case, your point, your claim? Okay, so a lot of you are forgetting to do that, so make sure you do that. As always, if you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you. All right, have a wonderful week, everyone.